Welcome back to
N.E.R.D.S.
I'm your host, Zackary. With me is joined
Lukas.
Today, Lucas will be needlessly, endlessly ranting dumb shit about...
We're talking about the importance of soundtracks.
Okay,
Yeah.
Interesting. Video game soundtracks, movie soundtracks?
This is video game soundtrack specifically.
Okay.
But I would love to revisit the topic at some point and
movie
and TV show soundtracks because I think it would be really fun.
I feel like I can do movies.
Video games are just what I know the most. So
if we do movies, I think the primary will be Hans Zimmer.
That's a good
legendary
one.
soundtrack.
Very good one.
Surprisingly, has he done any video games? I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if he has. But before we really
delve into the topics,
Yes.
Of course, we guys check in with each other. How you doing?
Am I going first?
Well, I asked the question, so yes, you are.
I'm doing pretty good. This week actually been not too bad. We reached level 3 in my D&D campaign.
Yes, we did.
So that's been very exciting. That was Thursday. Very exciting.
Cannot wait for this next Thursday.
It's been, I wouldn't say long awaited. It's only been 5 sessions since we started. You guys leveled up on the 5th session, so. But we do tend to rush level 2 to level 3.
That is true.
It's like 2 sessions, alright, everyone levels up.
Well, because it's such a scary level to be in.
I don't think I made it that scary.
You made it. How many times have we gone down?
Yeah.
In last combat, we had almost 2 character deaths.
Yeah, one of them was your fault.
How?
What did you do? You essentially didn't pick up... Someone gave one of our players a death save. I think it was you killing an enemy and they exploded.
Did. Yeah.
Because you were like, it's what my player would do. And then,
that is not what I said. Fuck off.
And then they rolled almost a nat 1 on their death save.
They did almost roll on that one on the death save.
The other player theoretically should have died, but I forgot something.
You forgot some rules.
I forgot some rules where if you end your turn, you take damage, and they were setting at 2 death saves. So, but yeah, last combat was the boss fight before the level up. I'm not gonna hand it to you guys easily.
No, I understand.
And it was a huge plot moment for one of my characters. They got their wings back.
Oh my god, it made me so teary-eyed.
A winged infernal who in their backstory had a part of their wings, or their wings ripped off, and formed into a contract. So this was them reclaiming that part. So not only was it from 2 to 3 in level, but also him getting his wings back. You kind of getting, once you complete this, a part of your story finished. So this was like a big task.
No, last session was a big session.
It was a big session. Everybody got a lot of information.
Had a lot of stuff go down. Yeah, everyone got a lot. That was mostly what that session was just information.
Yeah,
it was combat and then information.
It was 4 hours of combat, and then it was like, all right, I'm about to really unlock parts of your guys' arcs.
For sure.
But that was Thursday, and then I was a little worried going into work, because last week was kind of shitty, but this week was pretty fine. Didn't have much clothes. Today we fully ran out, so I started processing books. Call back to, I think, episode 2, 3, when I talked about Crave. We got Craven, so tomorrow I'm going to see if it's still there. I'm gonna buy it.
Hell yeah!
It was the first book I picked up. I was like, "Holy shit!" And then I kind of forgot how essentially identical Crave's cover is to Twilight.
Yeah, it's
damn near the same.
Yeah,
but I'm excited. This week, the week we're recording is the week of Valentine's, so we've got some fun things up and coming. But we'll talk about that, I guess, next week when we ask.
I guess so. I don't have any plans.
I know me and my boyfriend, we have reservations to a restaurant, and we're going to dress up all fancy.
Oh, I heard about
that
with you. I haven't had plans for 6 years.
You don't do anything special? I mean, this is the first year I've had a relationship, so most of the time I usually go out shopping by myself, or... I don't remember what I did last year.
Valentine's Day is just another day for me.
That's fair. That's usually how I go about it.
Yeah, it's just another day. I just do stuff. Sometimes I get chocolate. That's about it.
I think usually I'm I'll go to a store and buy myself a treat.
Mm-hmm.
A cool thing I've been wanting.
You know what? That's what I'll do for Valentine's Day. I'll have it be a Love Myself Day.
That's what I've done. It's what I did 2 years ago. I really can't remember what I did last year. But, these... For me and my boyfriend, these 3 months are crazy. Because February is Valentine's Day. Or Valentine's. March is our 1-year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy.
Really?
And then April is both mine and his birthday.
Oh, God.
So it's like back to back. So we had to be like, all right, we're not doing gifts on Valentine's Day. We're not doing gifts on anniversary. We're just doing gifts for birthdays. For Valentine's Day, we're going to go out to eat. For our anniversary, we're watching Dune 2, which I'm excited about.
Hell yes. That's awesome.
Because it comes out on March 1st. So yeah, it's a crazy next 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, it'll almost be summer.
Yeah.
Which is mind-boggling.
God, man, this year's flown by.
It has and it hasn't. There's so many things where I'm like, we were just talking about this podcast, where I was like, I feel like we've been doing this for ages.
Mm-hmm.
It's only been 6 episodes. Barely a month and a half. But how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. This week has been weird. It's been an up and down kind of battle, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Super Bowl was really fun. Super Bowl just happened last night, and that was a lot of fun.
I didn't know it was happening until yesterday morning when we talked about it in our work huddle.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh shit, it's Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm. Super Bowl was really fun. Chiefs barely won. Last 3 seconds on overtime did they win.
Was the score... How was the score? Was it 9-9 or was it 20-20?
No, it was 22-19.
Okay,
and the Chiefs needed a touchdown if they were going to win.
Damn.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, because I don't watch a lot of sports, but in general, I don't like competitions where no one scores because it's you kind of stop each other. I like the competitions where everybody's scoring and it's this consistent battle of everybody's got so many points. That was the last point.
That was this last Super Bowl. This last Super Bowl broke some fucking records.
Damn.
It was really good. I'm not even that big of a sports fan, football fan, but I love my Chiefs. We'll say that right here. That'll probably give me some fucking hate, but I don't give a fuck. I love my Chiefs, and goddamn did they almost lost, but they pulled it through like I knew they would.
Who were they playing?
They were playing the 49ers.
Which is what
state? That is, I believe, St. Louis. No.
Is it?
I believe so.
Wait, so Kansas City and St. Louis fought each other?
I think so. I can't remember. Again, I'm not a geography dude.
I don't know math.
My intelligence is a 5 at best.
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Not St. Louis. Which San Francisco is in what state?
I'm not
California?
I'm not going to talk about this right now.
I don't know geography.
I don't know geography.
We're American schooled.
Yeah, yes we are. There was geography, but did anyone really pay attention?
We didn't have a geography class.
We did. I think they stopped doing that right after us. Yeah, that's strangely our year was in school was the last year of a lot of things. We were the last ones to do cursive. We were the last ones to do some classes. We were the first ones to be introduced to health classes and stuff like that.
We didn't have those.
It was interesting. It was bizarre.
Other than Super Bowl, how are you?
The Super Bowl, okay. Work has been again on and off, good and bad. Saturday I had an accident. Or no, Friday I had an accident.
Oh.
A full-on accident.
You hurt yourself accident? Or you slipped up and said something bad to someone?
No, more of a literal accident of the soiling variety.
Did you shit yourself? Yes! I need this full story. I love a good shit yourself story.
I'm not ashamed of it. People shit themselves all the time. So
I dream of the day I'm in New York City and I shit myself in the middle of the street. And I'm like, fuck! And I'm running away.
I mean, it's not the most crazy story. I was just up. It was 7 a.m. I was up on the line, tired as shit because Fridays are my very, very early days.
Yeah. Which is great because Thursday we always stay up super late.
It's wonderful for me. I hate it. So Fridays are my super early days, and I was like standing up in line waiting for orders because everyone was like slowly trickling in.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt a fart.
Did you trust it?
And I trusted it, and I should learn to never trust a fart. I trusted the fart, and I was like, God damn it. So I don't say anything to anyone. I just book it down to the bathroom.
Oh my god.
And it's not like
explosive.
It wasn't explosive, but it was very liquidy. So it was just crawling down my leg a little bit. I was like, fuck, as I was running to the bathroom. So I get into the bathroom, clean myself up best I can. Get my underwear off. Throw my underwear in the dumpster.
Did you tell anyone?
Oh yeah. I'm not ashamed of it. I don't give a fuck. I think it's funny as hell.
It's so funny.
So yeah, I shit myself on Saturday.
I have to tell the story. It is my story. I didn't shit myself. And I won't name this coworker. She doesn't work there anymore. She's an old woman.
We don't name anyone.
It's true.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna name her. She's gonna be the one I name. She hasn't worked here in like a year, and she's old, so she's not gonna ever watch this podcast. Mm-hmm. But I love her. Older black woman, super sassy, super funny. Was always kind of joking, never super serious, because we worked as cashiers together. And we'd sit and talk all the time. Out of nowhere, again, like 9, 10 in the morning. It's slow as hell. I think it's a Sunday. And we're just standing next to each other talking. About the distance we're at now, like a good 2 foot away. And she straight up looks at me and she goes, Zackary, I gotta go to the bathroom. I just shit myself. And I look at her and I go, you go? I got you. We're not too busy. She's like, yeah, I just shit myself. And then she walked away. Didn't run or anything. Slowly waddled on. And then she's gone for about like 10, 15 minutes. I see management come up with her and they take her down, like the register. They like remove her drawer. She goes to the office to count it down. And she's like, I'm going home. And I'm like, you know what? You go.
Mm-hmm.
But I will never forget the way she just straight was like, Zackary, I just shit myself. I gotta go to the bathroom.
So my manager, I told my manager, obviously, because it's something you have to tell them. And they're like, are you okay? Do you need to go home? And I was like, I mean, I threw away my underwear, but like, I cleaned myself up the best I could. If it happens again, then yes, yeah. I will have to go home because I have nothing else to change into.
Yeah. At that point, you just gotta feel bad for the Uber.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, yep. So Friday, I shit myself.
Damn, love it.
And then Sunday was one of the worst days of work I've had in a long time.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
That was me last Sunday. Management was just on my nerves.
Well, fucking another manager, cook manager, who most likely will never listen to this, so I don't care.
And if you do, we hate you.
No, I respect and love the crap out of them, but it's the thing that we talked about last time where I've been asked to do a lot of things outside of my job.
Yeah.
We didn't have our prep cook for the weekend.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's always and there were only 2 dishwashers, which there are usually 3 on the weekends. Which isn't always needed for the weekends. It's usually we just have one dishwasher bust while the other 2 actually do the dishes.
Yeah.
It was definitely needed this Sunday. Sunday was, for whatever reason, just a huge shit rush where we just had a whole bunch of people come in all at once, and they just kept coming in. And I was having to stop what I was doing to do a bunch of prep.
Oh.
And that put Dish Pit so far behind to where I had like 3 carts filled with dishes.
Damn.
And I'm not talking about like bus tubs.
Like
carts filled with dishes, and even some off the side.
Jesus.
And people were like, while I'm doing prep, people are calling for plates, people are calling for this, blah, 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 blah. And by the end of it, you know how I get when I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
I get very quiet and I rush everything that I do. So by the end of it, I was super frustrated. Was very quiet. Was rushing around trying to get everything done. And one of my coworkers was just like, "You okay?" I was like, "No one gets to ask me for fucking anything until I am caught up."
Yeah.
And she just goes, "Okay," and she walks off.
Yeah.
And no one did until I was caught up.
That's good.
But I was mad. I was mad about it. And it is exhausting to use frustration and anger to push yourself.
Yeah.
I came home and I was exhausted. I didn't want to do anything.
I'm the opposite. If I get angry and frustrated, I do less work. I'm like, if you're going to yell at me, and if I get upset, don't expect anything out of me now.
Mm-hmm. My body needs an outlet, so I just
That's
need...
fair.
So the best outlet I can do is by doing my job faster and harder.
That's fair.
Or else the outlet is going to be me going to the back and punching shit, which I have done at Applebee's before.
That's so male of you.
It's just adrenaline.
That's so male of you.
Yeah.
I've never had the desire to punch something.
Great. Says the non-binary.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying it's very male of you to just want to punch shit when you're angry.
Listen, man. I don't know what else. I don't... It comes from trauma, alright? It comes from trauma.
You be how you want to be. Oh, well, you want to get into your weekly obsession?
Weekly obsession, you basically kind of know already what it is because I've been showing you it. I've been looking up some...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I've been looking up a lot of soundtrack stuff for Gendrya music.
Your homebrew...
My homebrew
system.
Setting and system.
Yeah.
Been looking up a lot of music for that, and that has been very motivating and fun to get ideas flowing.
Yeah, you showed me a lot of... Almost any time you get new songs for it, you're like, I gotta play it real quick.
Well, because I'm so excited about them, but also just I always want a second opinion.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, does this song actually fit? Is this actually what I...
Am I just trying to stretch it?
Am I just trying to stretch it, you know? So that's more the reason why I show you songs all the time is, I'm excited, but I'm also trying to get a second opinion of, this doesn't really fit, the vibe that you're trying to go for. I'm like, okay, thank you.
And so far, Gendrya has... How do we describe it? It's like...
It's very JRPG.
It's very JRPG. The bass is very techno.
Mm-hmm.
Which keeps the same when we say techno, it's a similar beat that doesn't really rise or fall. It's very steady, kind of the same rhythm, same volume, and then on top of it is usually layered either with orchestral classical music with nice vocals or very funky orchestral, not classic, but it's got a juicy,
got a little bit of guitar in it, got
a little
bit
jazzy,
of
but not jazz, but it's a fun mixture.
Mm-hmm. And I've explained before, the reason I want it that way is because my setting and the system delve into many different parts that I really enjoy. I like some post-apocalypse sci-fi mixed in with bit of high magic fantasy to it.
Yeah.
So, because I come from Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy VII, and all of it is super high tech sci-fi with the world is dying kind of feel. So that's where I get a lot of my passion and stuff from. I blame Final Fantasy X specifically for it.
Which I saved a post on Instagram. I'll show you right now, obviously, people at home. It's by a Instagram artist named Seppuku Doge. And it is almost exactly what I imagine your world feels at times.
Yes!
And I obviously can't play the music out loud right now. Oh my god,
that's beautiful. Can you send that to me?
Yeah, but it's a dark, bluish, sci-fi, rusted, ginormous bots, and you get little tiny clips of someone standing on some enormous technological kind of thing.
Structures and stuff like that. Yeah. No, God, I love that aesthetic so much.
That's good.
So it is absolutely the aesthetic and vibe I'm going for, which is why the music is such the way that it is.
Yeah.
To be, that.
Yeah.
And it fits on theme. That's my weekly obsession.
Yeah.
So,
my weekly obsession was gonna be my level up with you guys on my Dragon Realms because I've just been thinking about it so much. But you said music, so I switched to music.
oh, you don't have to. It's
Well,
weekly
no,
obsession.
we kind of already talked about Dragon Realms.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was like, I don't really know what else to talk about because I was gonna talk about this song that I have. But I was like, no, it's going to be, like, too niche. And then you were like, today's topic is music. And I was like, I got to talk about it. I showed Lucas, before we started the episode, it is called Dear Your Majesty by Famous, which is a diss track.
It's a diss track.
Nicki Minaj and her
quickly
losing her mind. It's mostly rap, and this shit is hard.
It's good.
It's, for some reason, blew up on TikTok, but does not have a lot of views on Spotify or YouTube. I mean, YouTube only has 250,000, which, for something like this, feels very low. But I do want to talk about some of the lyrics.
Absolutely.
Because, God, it's great.
It's a heavy diss track.
Famous don't miss around.
No, I was listening, like, Zach can attest, I was listening to it with my eyes wide the entire time.
Because she really does start immediately about being like, you hold your crown so tight, ain't no one gonna take it away from you. It's invisible. There ain't even a crown.
Just speaking truth, man.
Speaking truth. And then there's a bunch of lines I want to talk about.
Absolutely.
The nerve of you to talk about someone's mother who died when your own father tried to take your own mother's life. It's like, damn.
Ugh. Going into that personal shit.
The back vocals, I don't know, I assume it's Famous that does the slight back vocals.
Probably.
But it's always like, think about that. Go to rehab. You're a loser. And then I don't give a fuck about how good of a rap you can rhyme. Y'all let this cokehead cross too many lines. I was like, ooh. The pervert pedophile husband ones.
Yep.
We won't talk too much about that, but those ones do hit hard.
Those ones hit.
And then the next 4 lines, which is, you say you the shit, well, I ain't never like how shit smells. It's beautiful.
So poetic line.
Poetic. Time to read a bitch on Braille. AOL, still send the queen quick mail. I was like,
God,
oh my God.
Damn.
Time to read a bitch on Braille is kind of crazy.
It's kind of wild.
And then she goes into a little, like, Dear Your Majesty, we, thank you for your service, but it's time to step fucking down because you're losing your minds.
I love the diss tracks that are, like, not only just, like, dissing you, but, like, actually also being, like, you're having a mental breakdown. Knock it off.
It's easier and, I would say, more enjoyable for a diss track to have meaning. Because when it's just, like, I made a diss track about you because I hate you, it's like, okay. Usually the bar that you're hitting is very low, and it's like, you're ugly. You're stupid. But this is like, Nicki has done that to other people. Megan Thee Stallion. Who's the other one? I can't remember the other one's name. Where Nicki really hit low. And so for Famous to come around and be like, I'm not hitting low bars. I'm hitting knees. I'm smashing knees. And then the horrible line of... fake ass itty bitty bully. How you call them bitches big when you never developed fully? Is that the reason why your blank played with the kitty? Just God.
Good Lord.
I have been listening to the song nonstop, and I was like, okay. I'm wary when someone has a hit like this because I'm like, okay, maybe they just struck good. They had really good beats for this one song. I was like, let me listen to other songs. She is not well known, surprisingly. Spotify, she only has a few thousand monthly listeners, but she only got like half a dozen songs.
Damn.
But they're good. One was about essentially, she tried to be genuine and nice to people, and then people started thinking she was soft. So she's like, the next time I see you, I'm gonna fucking beat your ass. I was like, okay, get it. And then she hits you with the 2020, which is the name of one of her songs, and it's like a slow Beyonce, like, I don't want to say romance song, but it's got that feel of like, I learned in 2020, like the money ain't gonna mean shit. I gotta work on myself, and it's that like slow, smooth, and it's like, oh, it's beautiful.
Kind of that somber tone.
That's somber. So
Yeah.
if anyone's listening, listen to Famous. It's Fayemiss, which great name.
And
Like
at the very least, go check out that diss track song because
Dear Your Majesty.
It hits hard.
Hits. God, you say you're shit. Well, I never like how shit smelled. I would think
Such a
about
good
that.
line.
But you ready to get to your topic?
Absolutely.
While you're looking it up, I did look it up. Hans Zimmer scored 4 video game songs.
Oh, really? What songs?
Or not songs, but soundtracks. Arena of Valor, which I've heard about a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I know a little bit.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Really?
Crisis 2. That one makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
And then FIFA 19. The thought of playing FIFA 19 and hearing a Hans Zimmer song.
Wild.
Hey, I'd be crying.
Okay, so first off, there are a lot of soundtracks in the world, and a lot of them are really, really good. But today, I wanted to talk about a select few that I personally think do such a good job at bringing out a lot of emotion in scenes. Now, these aren't from like any particular scenes from video games or anything like that. This is more kind of the atmospheric music that hit hard, if that makes sense.
I get it.
Yeah, these are some from my personal favorite games, and I would love to revisit the topic, like I said before, to more than just games, like movies and TV shows. This is just where my brain immediately goes. Yeah. So, the first one we are going to talk about for soundtrack, it's not all songs, or particular songs, it's just soundtracks, is Bloodborne. Oh, yeah. Yeah, me and Zach got history.
I love Bloodborne soundtrack.
It's beautiful. It's haunting.
Do you have who made it?
I do not have who made it.
Is it the same people that made like Dark Souls soundtrack?
Well, yeah, it's the From Software guys. Bloodborne, for anyone who doesn't know, is a game made by From Software, where you play as a hunter in the town of Yharnam. A place filled with monsters, eldritch horrors, and other hunters who have turned into beasts. It is not a happy-go-lucky game. It is very dark and filled with beautiful eldritch aesthetic and Call of Cthulhu-esque builds. Bloodborne is filled with fast-paced combat as well that leaves you on the edge of your seat. As you try to survive and prove that you are stronger than the horrors around you. Its soundtrack reflects that, with songs like Blood-Starved Beast,
Blood-Starved Beast is great,
Watchers, and Ludwig the Accursed, just to name a few. They all have that sense of dread and horror of what you are facing, and leave you feeling where you are always having to survive.
Yeah.
Anytime that you are in the streets of Yharnam, you are surviving.
So I looked it up who does it. It's sort of a bunch of different people. Most notably, and most of my favorite is by a dude named Ryan Amon. He does Omen, Hunter's Dream, The Night Unfurls, Queen of the Vile Blood, Soothing Hymn. He does more of the like celestial songs we hear, and then Michael Wandmacher does like Mikolash. He does The Witches of Hemwick. But the one who you just talked about, Blood-Starved Feast and all that, is Tezuka Saito. They do Dark Beast, Blood-Starved Beast, Cleric Beast.
Do all the Beast soundtracks, it seems.
The First Hunter. Where is... I don't think this has the DLC on it. to figure out who does Ludwig.
I don't know if it does or not either. But it is fantastic.
It is.
And again, a lot of that sound. So Bloodborne, you're usually walking around Yharnam in complete silence.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the songs that you get to are from either cutscenes or boss fights.
Boss fights.
Which is why the songs hit so hard when they play, because you're left with nothing but silence and the eeriness and the eldritch horror and all the bloodshed around you.
Yeah.
And then the songs hit and it's frantic, it's terrifying. But that's why I want to talk about a song specifically that is the opposite on the soundtrack.
Okay.
Hunter's Dream.
Yes.
Is a song that plays when you enter the Hunter's Dream. It is the only real safe place in the game where you can level up, shop for items, or take a breather if you just need it.
It's your hub, essentially.
It is a hub. And the music reflects that with its slow, somber tone. Like it is the only time oh my god, I lost
Take
my
a deep breath.
Namaste. Like it is the only time, if only for a moment, that you get to breathe.
Yeah.
To think and to be human.
Oh my god. Hunter's Dream is such a good song because even other songs that are angelic, like The Hunter and Omen, which Omen is one of my favorite, what is it? It's your title, your main screen song. When you pull up the game, you're sitting at like the new game, load game, Omen plays, which starts out very similar to Hunter's Dream, which is a very slow, angelic choir with a little bit of orchestral, but then it gets very dark very quickly to the point where the vocalist, it's led by a single female vocal, is almost not screaming, but she's holding these high, long, or high pitch, high octave long notes, and it does that sort of it's an omen. You're feeling kind of uneasy, and then when you start the game, you're like, well, what do I get to?
Yeah, where are we going?
And then I think Omen plays when you walk around, and it's like the ambiance where it's like the and it's just kind of like
possibly
little tiny bit, but even then, like you said before, the silence filled with just a soft angelic choir is almost as creepy, and if not leans more towards the hey, shit's either hidden, you can't see it because it's cosmic horror, or it's just fucked up because the beasts. But Hunter's Dream is so beautiful, especially after doing 6 hours of trying to defeat a boss, and you're just consistently hearing the intense boss battle music. You're like, I gotta go buy more stuff, and you travel to the Hunter's Dream, and it's just quiet. It's beautiful.
It's again, it really makes you feel human when you get to Hunter's Dream, because the rest of the game you're feeling like a beast.
Yeah.
You were constantly killing and hunting things over and over and over again to get blood echoes, become more powerful. But that's kind of the message of Bloodborne is no one's really good in Bloodborne.
Absolutely.
Everyone is a beast in nature.
Yeah.
And the eldritch horrors are just some of the beasts that can be, and you are one of the most prominent and terrifying of them.
Oh, yeah.
So when you get to the Hunter's Dream and you take that moment to reflect and think about things, it's nice to have that music that really pushes that emotion forward. Yeah, that's Bloodborne. The next one...
One more thing before you switch.
No, absolutely.
That is true about Hunter's Dream, except for at a certain point in the game, Hunter's Dream no longer becomes your safe haven.
No, it does not.
It's essentially Hunter's Dream is essentially a little house on a hill, and your shops are in little divots on the hill, and then your teleportation are tombstones.
Yeah, it's basically like a small house on a graveyard.
Yeah. And towards the very end of the game, you travel to the Hunter's Dream after defeating a primary boss fight, and it's on fire. And they ever so softly changed the way Hunter's Dream is played. It's essentially a new song based on the original one, but it's got that eerie, like, I can't remember if it's more intense, but the way it is played is not relaxing. It's not, okay, I have a moment to breathe. It's almost the like Jack in the Box kind of feel, where it's like, and you're like, oh, what is happening?
Where something's gonna pop out at any moment.
Yeah.
Make this worse, you know.
And it's not enough for you to be like, oh, it's a brand new song, but I've heard both songs back to back, and it's like, oh, it's just ever so slightly different enough. You can be like, okay, this is. You're also seeing this building just burn.
Yeah,
and it stays on fire until the end of the game.
It's wild because like hubs are usually like the place where people are like, oh, I'm safe here.
Yeah.
So messing with somebody's hub is a surefire way to be like, nowhere is safe. Oh god.
No, I don't know many video games that change a hub.
No, there's not a lot.
All of the Dark Souls, the hubs stayed the same.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1. Well, Dark Souls 1 doesn't really have a hub.
It kind of does with Firelink Shrine.
It is a pseudo hub, but you don't have to go there.
It's more of a crossroads.
Yeah. Dark Souls 2, their hub never changes. You get people, and people like move in, but the area doesn't really change.
Mm-hmm.
3 doesn't change.
Which Dark Souls 2, also phenomenal soundtrack.
Oh my god, yeah.
The entire From Software library just has incredible.
But yeah, none of the
music.
games ever changed the hub. So getting Bloodborne, where the hub does change, and you're like, oh fuck, even the music changes? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, I'm not safe anymore.
Oh yeah.
And then you fight the final boss in that hub.
You do.
Which is crazy. I
Terrifying.
love Bloodborne.
I love Bloodborne. So the next one we're going to talk about is more of a game that I know a lot more of than you would. Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
So yeah, next soundtrack we talk about is Shadow of the Colossus. It's a game that takes place in the Forbidden Lands. A place that is supposed to be sealed away from the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But our protagonist, known as Wander, seeks this land as he wants to save the life of a girl named Mono. And this place holds the power to do so.
Mm-hmm.
The opening song of the game, called Prologue, sets the tone of the journey and what it's going to be like. It is a mystical yet somber tone.
Yeah.
Almost holding a sense of dread with the strings and wind instruments. Chanting plays in most of it, and the entire time you get the sense that you are not supposed to be here, but there is no choice left. Traveling around the Forbidden Lands is very similar to Bloodborne. It is mostly silent. There is no accompaniment. With nothing but the sounds of Agros hooves hitting the whatever terrain that you're treading. However, when you find a Colossus is when the music begins to play.
Yeah.
It starts with songs like Signs of the Colossus or Silence, which are very eerie songs that have more of a foreboding tone to whatever place that you've ended up in. Whether you were looking at a monster the size of a building and trying to figure out a way to scale it, because most of the time the Colossuses will just nonchalantly go about their day because you're an ant to them.
For those that don't know, Shadow of the Colossus is a very cult classic game. Some people don't know.
For sure.
It is a boss rush. There are no enemies throughout. You're not really going through dungeons.
Mm-mm.
You traverse a landscape that is 90% empty.
Barren.
There's no like, I gotta do this puzzle to get a key to open a door. It's like you're riding and you do scale terrain, but it's like, well, you find a Colossus in its home in a location, and that's it.
There's barely even any fauna, or like it's most like you get to the desert, you get to the steam wells. There's a plentiful forest and lakes and stuff, but you barely ever see any animals other than agros, some birds, and the salamanders.
And like the main hub that you're in is one of the most barren. It's just flat, and then you see some mountains. You see like different areas you can go. But I think that's why the soundtrack works so beautifully. Is like Bloodborne, you spend so much time not only alone, in silence, just traversing, which can already put yourself
in a thinking mood.
And then you see a Colossus / fight one, and it starts to hit, and you're like, holy shit, what is happening?
Well, you get that sense. Again, it's foreboding every time that you run into one, because they are so massive.
Oh my god.
But the Colossuses are never... There's only a couple of Colossi that I know when they see you are, like, antagonistic.
Yeah.
But the rest of them are minding their business. They're walking, they're going their way, they're just existing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, unless you had something else.
No, go ahead.
Why I love games like Shadow of the Colossus, though I've never played it, just because I'm not a huge fan of just boss rush games.
That's fair. I mean, there is stuff you can go find, especially in the remake in PS4.
But fundamentally, it doesn't change it being a boss rush. A game built on silence and traveling, when you then do the boss fight and are hit with such intense music, it's almost satisfactorily
Satisfying.
overwhelming. Because you're not getting the music to keep yourself... You're traveling, it's in silence, or it's playing, like the Bloodborne, very soft melody, and then you hit a boss fight. Either you've never seen it for the first time, you don't know how to fight it, the music is blaring at you, it's attacking you at times, and you're like... It's such a moment of chaos.
Oh, yeah.
But you aren't mad at it. Because, like, the music's so good. And
the music is amazing.
It's done so well. And the Colossus you fight either are very creepy or are very sad to fight. And so either the music helps that or you're just, like, unsettled.
For sure.
But it's a beautiful blend of both.
Yeah, it definitely portrays this, like, uneasiness beautifully. Yeah, and I was going to say, when you start scaling it, that it changes again. A violent encounter or a revived power begin to play with bombastic orchestral accompaniments, which gives this, like, chaotic energy needed to portray fighting something that could flatten you like a bug.
Yeah.
And when you do kill a Colossus, you expect this kind of, like, triumphant track, like in most video games, like da 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 da.
Yeah.
You know,
like, I did it.
Yeah, because you just fought this huge creature. You know, that's what you're supposed to do. Instead, we get the song, the end of the battle, and it is a somber, slow song that leaves you feeling regret and just watching this majestic beast that was just existing be hunted and killed by you.
Yeah.
It is a song that has changed my perspective on the whole game.
Well, because after that first boss fight, because you don't have to do them in a certain order, right?
You do.
Do you?
Yeah.
I thought it was the order of them could be up to you.
No, you do it in a certain order.
Oh, okay.
Because the main, like, bad guy, which you don't realize is the bad guy. You just basically make a deal with the devil to bring, like, Mono back.
Yeah.
He takes you back to the temple because you basically take the pieces of, I think his name is Dorman. You take the pieces of Dorman from the Colossus because they are all sealed pieces of Dorman. So you take them into you. You pass out because it's so much just power. And he just takes you. You see, there's a scene at the end of the game because usually we just see, like, a vortex that like happens, and that's, like, Wander's, like, perspective of it. And then you just end up at the very beginning front temple, the hub area. You see the statue break, and then Dorman is like, "Thy next foe is," and it goes on to the next statue.
I got you.
But yeah, you do see a scene at the end of the game where you kill the last of the Colossi. You just get lifted up by nothing. You get lifted up and then taken back. And that's what happens.
Creepy.
It's terrifying. And that's what's happened every time to Wander. But he's just never known.
Why did I start that conversation?
Because you were wondering.
Oh, yeah. After the first boss fight, you have that moment where you're like, all right, is this every boss fight? Like, or is it just like, this is kind of sad one, and then you do the second one, and you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of sad, and then you just keep going and going. There's like what, 12?
There's 12 Colossi,
and it's like after how many of them?
Actually, I think there's like 16.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them.
It's like, and it's one of those things like, it's based on personality and individual, but like, at what point do you as the player hit a moment where you're like, oh, this isn't right? Because some people it may take longer. You know, you might
take the end of the game
the
to
11th
realize.
or 12th, or maybe even the end to be like, oh, I shouldn't have been doing this. Sometimes it's like the second one where you're like, oh, this is fucked up. But I kind of just have to keep going.
Yeah.
And it's,
because you have to save the girl.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about Shadow of the Colossus so much. It starts off with a very understandable, and because it doesn't give us barely any information about any of it. Like, we don't even get the names of the characters until the end credits.
Yeah.
But like, we barely understand what is happening. But it's very video gamey to be like, go save the girl.
Yeah.
You know,
she's dead. Go save her.
Yeah, go save the princess kind of thing. And we don't know the relation between Wander and Mono. We don't know what their relationship was. It could have been sister, it could have been girlfriend, wife. Don't know. But when Wander steals the sword and enters into the Forbidden Lands, that's it. He's made his deal.
Yeah.
So there's no going back, no matter how fucked up it is, because Wander is going to get Mono back. And it's the argument that I love of, when does a hero become a villain?
Oh, yeah.
Because even if you're doing things for the right reasons, the way you're doing it could be wrong.
Ambition over actual. Like, his ambition's really good. What he is doing is not.
He's doing it for a very selfless reason.
Yeah.
But he's killing and, like, taking in parts of Dorman and releasing the devil back onto the world.
Yeah.
He doesn't even necessarily know that.
But it's also one of those things, like, at a certain point,
he's got to.
And the music does that so well of making us as a player realize our main boy really doesn't know what he's doing. And even if he did know, we're never really told he, like you said before, that he is a good person. I mean, we kind of have to assume after, so, when you do make that connection of with the music being so somber and so sorrowful, and realizing that rarely do they fight back, these Colossi, until you initiate combat.
There are definitely some that fight back. But...
murdering. And even some that fight back, it's the idea of, like, if you were to go hunt a tiger, the tiger's going to fight back. It doesn't make the tiger evil. And so it's like, well, we as players see that, and it's like, because we don't get any context of the game. Is he an actual good person? Just because he wants a girl back, we've seen a lot of people in media do bad things to get someone back like that.
Oh, yeah. And it's, again, it's my favorite type of villain. Of, like, his intentions were pure and good. He wanted his whatever back. And damn right, she got sacrificed.
Yeah.
It was not, at least that's what's implied. She got sacrificed. Her death was unjust, so he wanted to get her back. Makes total sense. But the way he went about it is what made him a villain.
Yeah. And the music really shows it. At least to us.
Because
I also love this idea of, like, the concept that we as players are getting a story that the character is never getting.
Yes.
The character's not hearing boss fight music and this intensity, like, trying to go into, and I kind of forgot his name. Aggro? No. Wander. Like, what is Wander's perspective? Because, like I said before, not getting the music, not getting the, I killed this beast, there's no triumph, there's no sorrowfulness. And it almost just feels like bloodlust at that point.
Almost.
Because we're getting the sadness. We're getting this intensity, this struggle for survival. And we're thinking of it as like, oh, damn, this kind of sucks, but I have to save the girl.
For sure.
But it's like, well, if we think of this as an actual, like, book, not like a video game, Wander's just murdering.
Absolutely.
Like, it does not care.
This is a tangent, but it goes off what we're talking about right now. Near Replicant and the original like Nier, it's a very similar story. So for those who don't know, Near Replicant, it's the prequel to Nier Automata, which is a sequel to Dragon Blah. Doesn't matter.
I can't remember.
Doesn't matter. But you play as what the player's called Nier, because he doesn't have a name. You get to name him. But he's a fully voiced like character. He's the main character. In Near Replicant, you play as the brother version. They in the original Nier, for Western audiences, they made him a fully grown like adult, who was the dad of Yona instead of the brother of Yona. The brother one makes more sense.
Yeah, I don't know why Americans needed to change that.
They didn't think it would sell well. You know, Japan being Japan back in the day, didn't think it would sell well with Western audiences if it wasn't, you know.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it, but it makes sense.
Yeah. So, though I do think there needs to be more representation of, like, older
we don't get a lot of sibling, like, content in video games.
We don't. But, so, anyway, you play as Nier, who has a sister named Yona. Yona is sick. She has this disease called the Black Scroll. You are trying to find ways to basically help Yona throughout the entire game. You were trying to like find a cure for the Black Scroll. You're helping people around. You know, you're a hero.
Yeah.
You wind up finding Grimoire Weiss, who helps you cast magic.
Hey.
Which Nier is like a competent like fighter, but it's really Grimoire Weiss that really makes him the like badass that he is. You help some friends along the way, like Kaine, who's like been abandoned by everyone and everyone hates her.
Shit.
And she is very vulgar and like wears very skimpy clothes, mostly to prove that she has control of her own body.
Yeah.
Because she has the thing where she was born with both genitalia.
Oh.
And people were calling her a freak because of it.
That's the dream.
Yeah, I know, right?
Have both.
But that's why she wears the clothing that she does.
Makes sense.
And then you meet Emil, who, for people who have played Nier Automata, know
classic.
As a young boy who lives in a mansion, not the weird skeleton dude, like a legit human young boy living in a mansion, who's blindfolded, because anyone he looks at gets petrified.
Love it.
And you help these people out, and later on in the game, Yona gets taken by the Shadow Lord. Okay. There are these things called shades that are basically running around. They're like wispy, humanoid-looking things. And the Shadow Lord looks the most human out of all of them. And he takes Yona.
Is he hot?
He's hot. But throughout the game, Nier, he's starting to hate Shades more and more.
Oh, he's so hot.
Yeah. He's starting to hate Shades more and more and is realizing, like, everything he's doing is to go get Yona back, right? 5 years later, he is the most badass warrior you can think of. He continues to, kill Shades and be basically this mercenary and helps out. And, by our standard, that's a hero.
Yeah.
That's a very heroic person.
Absolutely.
But the consequences of what he's doing, he's not even aware of. Later on, after you replay the game, because that's how the Nier games always work, is you replay the games to get different endings, you start learning that the actual humans that you're playing aren't humans. They're replicants.
Yeah.
There was a disease a long time ago, which is 2012 Tokyo, that started killing everyone. So, like, worldwide.
Yeah.
So they came up with the they came up with an experiment to try to save everyone. The experiment was 2 books, Grimoire Weiss and Grimoire Noir, were to combine and then bring the shades back together with their replicants. Because the shades are actually the human souls of the people. You start realizing every shade that you are killing humans. You are killing actual human life. And the Black Scroll is not an actual disease. It's everyone is going to get the Black Scroll and die because replicants are not supposed to live like this.
Yeah.
And you killing the Shadow Lord to get your sister back, Yona, ends humanity.
Yeah.
And you don't know.
You don't know.
But you start getting more of like the story afterwards, and you start seeing more scenes of N.E.R. being like, fuck these shades. These shades are like, they're terrible, they need to die. It's a shade. Just kill it.
Yeah.
You know? No matter, and Kaine and Emil are throughout the games sometimes are like, hey, this is kind of seeming fucked up. Like, are we sure this is the right thing that we are doing? And then N.E.R. is always like, it's a shade.
Yeah.
Shades are monsters. Do you not remember that they took Yona? Fuck these shades.
Yeah.
And you start realizing he's kind of a fucking blood-hungry dude.
Yeah.
But anyway,
the N.E.R. games do that, because even N.E.R. Automata play a similar concept, not so convoluted or like hidden, where you play as replicants, but it's the robots that begin to gain androids begin to gain like consciousness, and they're like, because it's the same concept. These androids are like, oh, robots are not sentient, just kill them. And then you start to meet robots that are sentient. Some of the enemy robots begin to speak, and you're like, oh fuck. Luckily though, our main girl, N.E.R.D.S,
the 2B,
starts to kind of realize that in the first playthrough, it's like, okay, maybe, like, she begins to kind of not spiral, but open her mind up, because
put everything together.
Yeah, especially because N.E.R.D.S, your little companion, is the same with the other two. Where like, hey, are we should we be doing this? Like, they're pleading for help. They don't want to die. Like, they're saying it very explicitly, and eventually 2B begins to be like, okay, no, you're right. This is weird.
Well, N.E.R. Automata is so much about like what is our existence in this world. You know,
if you ain't got a soul and you're just a consciousness, what defines humanity?
What defines you? And like the robots start like having their own societies and ways of thinking. Like, some of them are religious and believe in this cult. Some of them like study humanity and like, we all have to have sex.
Yeah. Some just live in a town by themselves.
Some live in a town by themselves. There's a small little robot town called Pascal, and it's a beautiful little town. You know, they find love. They find their place in the world. And these robots, killed their alien overlords. The aliens made these robots to go fight this war. They gained sentience and were like, fuck you.
Yeah.
We just want to live. And so the androids basically were gaslighted into thinking that this war is continuing on endlessly.
Yeah.
And we have to kill all the robots because it was a purpose for them. And they were like, well, what else is there? We need a purpose in life. And that's kind of the whole premise of the game. Anyway, very, very long tangent that's off.
We really started explaining the N.E.R. games. Great soundtracks. Great tie it back in.
Incredibly soundtracks.
Very similar to what I imagine Gendrya sounds like.
Yes.
There's a lot of the similar beats and vibes.
Mm-hmm.
So it all ties in.
It all ties back together.
Yeah.
But that was definitely our longest tangent we've gone on.
Longest your tangent.
Yeah. Listen,
all right, what's the next one?
About it. I'm passionate about a lot of things. All right, next one is one that we've talked about before,
Okay.
It is Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the last one that I have noted, but we can talk about some other ones.
I have a few
for
others.
sure. Yeah. So Breath of the Wild is a game that we have talked about before. It is an open world 3D Zelda game where you play as Link, who has been asleep for 100 years and has no memory of who he is or what he is doing. He is woken by the voice of Zelda calling out to him to save her and Hyrule. You leave the Shrine of Resurrection, which is completely silent, and open up to a cliffside where you hear the main theme of the game. As you look over the horizon, you see the massive expanse of Hyrule in every direction. It is a magical piece with piano that builds up into a slow orchestral sweep.
Love it.
While you look on. It is beautiful, wonderful. While you're exploring Hyrule, you begin to hear the field thing, which is a smattering of piano chords that play every 4 to 5 seconds.
Okay.
Each one is its own small and quiet with no real focus to it. There's not like any patterns.
Which one are we talking about? Breath of the Wild?
Breath of the Wild.
Okay. For some reason I was thinking Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom has more of an actual like consistency to it.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild, it was like dun 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 dun. Wait.
Just,
Dun, dun,
like I
dun,
said,
dun.
smatterings of it.
Like smatterings of it. It leaves room, though, for the small sounds to be more prominent. The sound of your gear is more noticeable than ever.
Yeah.
Streams in the distances can be heard with the birds chirping. It's all mixed in with the same kind of like piano piece, and it gives this kind of feel of nature. And it just fits well. I know a lot of people are like, well, where's my beautiful orchestral Zelda whenever it first came out, because Zelda had a lot of themes at the time. I think Breath of the Wild did a really good job of setting up the atmosphere.
Because when you fight boss fights, you still get that crazy
Absolutely.
epic orchestral, but it's when it's silent, when you're traveling, when you're just sort of walking around Hyrule, isn't just silent, which can get very boring, but then having the little bit of music that's so beautifully blended with the ambiance of the world.
It's peaceful.
It's gorgeous.
When you were battling, it is another story. The field battle, the solemn field battle, is a chaotic mess of instruments that somehow join together into this beautiful melody to create high energy of natural danger. There's windpipes, beating of drums, everything that all just kind of blends together weird, and you can hear the clashing of swords sometimes, which is really fun. It opens up to a sense of epicness and really hits a thing where it goes da, 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 like at the
I've heard that
when you're like fighting a much stronger enemy. That's when it starts like having more focus, because you are having more focus while you're fighting.
Yeah, because a lot of Breath of the Wild combat is you sort of fight who you want to fight.
Yeah.
And you get into the combats you want to get into. So it's not like kind of what a lot of other Legend of Zeldas where it's a little bit more linear. You still have dungeons, obviously, but Breath of the Wild is like, well, if you want to, you can see the hobgoblin, camp. You can go choose to fight it or not. So when you do, it is that chaos of like, oh shit, combat's starting, get the weapons, start attacking, and kind of doing your own thing.
And it helps that like you're limited on your resources. Well, weapons break, so now you're having to like improvise on the spot, and sometimes like you can get really badass with that combat. There's plenty of videos showing like some crazy ass shit you can do in it, but like for the average player, like shield parry this, oh god, this guy's coming, oh, I got hit by a boulder, okay, I'm gonna time stop it, boom boom boom, gone. There, it has Breath of the Wild really, its soundtrack really does feel more of a survivalist soundtrack. Yes.
Not that you're this legendary hero that is the only one they can save. It's like, no, Breath of the Wild is you've got to survive to save the world.
You are a one-man army against a million.
Yeah. So the music really shows that. Even when you get to like the insane boss fight, it's like the Guardians. What are they called?
The Guardians.
The Guardians. Like that's even its own separate category. But
I do have that on here.
we'll just start talking about
it. First off, though, another thing I want to talk about that's very atmospheric and is very different. Shrines.
Yeah.
Shrines are scattered across the land as small challenges made by the Sheikah for Link.
Mm-hmm.
When you first find and enter a shrine, the music dramatically shifts. It is magic.
It is magic.
No longer is there piano, but is replaced by repeating synth.
Ooh.
Played accompanied by the small touch of strings. The shrines feel old and otherworldly, and the music reflects that masterfully. It is very high tech and weird, and that's exactly what the Sheikah shrines are, and what the Sheikah were.
Yeah.
They were high inventors. They are the ones who made the Guardians in the first place. So the fact that they have this weird technology, the shrines themselves are less like, ancient delved shrines and more of like, this is just a weird like computer simulation.
Yeah, this is I shouldn't be here.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, lastly, the track that sticks in my mind and probably most others when they think of this game is the Guardian theme.
Mm-hmm.
It is an anxiety-inducing track that starts with a fast-paced climb on the piano that then shifts into a steady, calculated pattern as the war mech targets you down and will endlessly hunt you. It is hectic, but also mechanical, the same way that the shrines are. It's terrifying.
Because the Guardians are not like some dude in a piece of armor. Like, they're, like you said before, weird, alien.
Like crab mechs.
Yeah, you're like, I shouldn't be here either. I shouldn't be anywhere.
I mean, the entire game, it is set in a post-apocalyptic Hyrule.
Yeah.
The Calamity won.
Yeah.
The only reason it has not spread even further is because Zelda, for the past 100 years, has been holding Calamity Ganon back.
Yeah.
To specifically Hyrule Castle. And there's dialogue later on where people are like, oh yeah, we used to be able to like go into the castle and grab some stuff here and there. There's good loot. But since you woke up, it has gotten really bad.
Yeah.
You waking up has set some alarm bells off.
Yeah. Because you're supposed to defeat Ganon.
Yeah. And
he's not just gonna sleep.
And Ganon knows it.
He's not just going to sleep around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are all the tracks that I have down that I really wanted to talk about, but I am more than welcome some tracks that you really want to talk about.
I forgot why we were talking about soundtracks. What was the purpose?
It was just the importance of soundtracks.
The importance? Okay.
Yeah, they're important to have. You won't be able to feel the feelings that you get in these soundtracks without it,
I forgot that when for a certain point I was like, why are we talking about soundtracks? I'm surprised you didn't talk about, notably, one of the most recent soundtracks, I think, shows that. God of War Ragnarok. In its soundtrack. Wrong. Like, I mean, both God of Wars, the 2018 and Ragnarok.
Well, I was thinking a lot more atmospheric soundtracks. God of War definitely
has that. Their atmosphere, the whole thing where it's
you're
just
not
like
wrong.
walking and then it's playing some angelic and you're like, oh God.
No. Very noticeable, but I was picking ones where there was hardly any dialogue, usually, that distracted you from the feelings that soundtrack gave. Which that was my criteria.
It's still Ragnarok. A lot of God of War's Ragnarok is silent.
There's a lot of people talking in Ragnarok.
Yes, but none of the musics that we think of are playing in that moment.
I guess that's fair.
Remember Faye or Feyre. Feyre? What was the wife's name? Holding on. So many of the intense, emotional songs are playing when it's dead silent.
That is true.
When Kratos is alone or by himself or with his son, there's no talking, and it's just the music.
For sure.
Because usually when it is talking, especially when Kratos talks, it tends to be quiet.
Oh yeah.
There doesn't tend to be anything, and it's like, oh shit. But I love God of War Ragnarok because of that. Where it's like, well, I'm in a sled going around Midgard, and it's kind of quiet, and then the beautiful music kicks in.
Oh, for sure.
Like, oh, it's so sad and so somber and melancholy.
Well, again, I feel like this is an episode where we could have like repeats on, because there's many soundtracks out there that give this like. Why soundtracks are important are not just for like the atmospheric stuff that I just talked about. This is just stuff I like.
Yeah.
But we can talk about like, again, the God of War stuff, the more cinematic soundtracks.
Beautiful.
This is an episode where I'm like, we can come back to this anytime.
Yeah, because atmospheric. Another great one that does atmospheric, which my favorite video game, Darksiders 2.
For sure.
Its atmospheric soundtrack is gorgeous.
It's
like waking up, not waking, but like after the prologue, waking up in the Maker's world, and you get that weird funky beat, and you enter and you get to see the Maker's temple for the first time. There's no one sitting there like, this is what the Makers are, these are who you are, like, in explaining it to you. You just get the music.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, this is weird, and then you start hitting other parts like
the Forge.
The Forge, where it's very like watery and earthy, and then you get later on to
the magma and everything.
Even like the Crystal Spire, and then the Demon Place, the Black Throne. Like Darksiders 2's music perfectly explains the environments you're supposed to be in because very similarly, Death is such a quiet character.
Mm-hmm. Rarely
does he speak, and so a lot of other people speak for him. Or the music speaks to where he is.
Mm-hmm.
It's this beautiful blend of... And Darksiders 2 does not give a fuck about being weird at times.
No.
Like I think about the Maker's theme all the time, and just how funky that, like... And especially the Ford and the fucking volcano place I can't remember. I can't remember what it's called, but they got some...
It's another part of the Forge.
Yeah, they got some weird music in there, and then the boss fights are obviously very cool.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I love Darksiders soundtrack for sure.
Yeah, because anytime we have a quiet main lead, the music tends to sort of help them in a certain way.
It does, because most of the time with a quiet main lead, it's body language that really portrays how they're feeling.
Yeah.
And music helps that emotion push along more as well.
Yeah.
Like the scene that I really think about, especially when it comes to like Kratos, is the very opening of not God of War Ragnarok, but the God of War 2018, where Atreus is inside and praying over his mother, and the camera pans over, and you get that foreboding, like as you see only the dark silhouette of Kratos over the doorway, but then it comes in and it softens as it lights him up, and he just picks up Faye. And throughout the majority of that game, Atreus is very much like, you don't care.
Yeah.
You're not even grieving or anything like that. Kratos cares so much. Yeah. He just grieves so silently. So,
and the music does such a, like, the ending where Kratos is standing in Jotunheim, and he finally like releases his bandages. There's no talking, and it's just the music.
It's beautiful.
And then it immediately breaks with Atreus being like, "You good?" And then he's like, "Yeah, I'm okay." No, God, we are gonna talk about God of War. We've talked a lot about God of War, but eventually we will talk about specifically Kratos and Atreus.
Yes.
And their relationship.
I want to get to that episode soon.
We can do it soon. We just have to plan a day for it. Like a week that we want to do it. Another example, because now that I think about specifically like soundtracks that help with atmosphere or that sort of feeling of what the world is supposed to be like, deals with another main character that's super quiet, Last of Us.
Oh my God.
Joel being such a quiet character, and the music around him, and what Last of Us does really well is the intensity switching of you go from really quiet, really soft, and then all of a sudden there's main enemies or like human enemies and or the zombies themselves, and that's such quick switch of music, and then usually it's just back to calm.
It's beautiful.
Well, Joel's not saying much to me, so it's just kind of myself.
There's a lot of Joel and Ellie's relationship as well, and that is...
We do want to talk about that one also.
It's very similar to Atreus and...
but it's like it's the same path that then forks, and they went two separate paths.
For sure. I'm realizing that a lot of the characters that I really enjoy are the silent, kind of stoically grieving types.
Oh, yeah.
Which is toxic masculinity, but it is like... It's why I made Ajax the way he is, you know? Like, Ajax doesn't speak much unless spoken to. So, it's why I feel like in the campaign, his opinion has mattered so much to everyone so far.
Yeah, because we were talking about this. Ajax, your D&D like, your character for my campaign, is really a true neutral character.
Yeah.
Doesn't remember his backstory, so he doesn't know who he was, only who he has been for the last 9 months, a year almost. And so it's that Kratos, when he speaks, everything kind of stops because it's I'm not doing this out of malintent, or I'm not doing this just to idiotically save one person instead of saving a dozen. Like, he's that good, he'll do what is right for the moment. And I should play the God of War. Like, I should play those songs where it's like you speak and I just
I've got Last of Us soundtracks within my atmosphere playlist. You need to look into that.
It's just YouTube music, which I have. I just gotta get to it. But I don't think there's a lot of other, like you said before, soundtracks are part of everything.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of soundtracks that really show atmosphere.
And there's a lot of soundtracks that really show...
like cinematic or
boss fight.
Because my favorite, like Darksiders 2, if I can hear a song and envision specifically where we are in the world based on that song, I love it.
I mean, the soundtrack for, like, Hi-Fi Rush is another, like... Holy shit. No wonder it won it in the Game Awards, because, like, it's so high-octane energy, like, but not in the same sense of, like, dread and horror that we've been talking about, but just more, like, lively and vibrant and so much fun because you're just smashing robots everywhere, and it's just fun.
To go off, not a tangent, but a rant.
For sure.
I really dislike when games almost refuse to put in travel music. There are certain games, and Skyrim's kind of notable about that, where it's like, okay, I have in real time been walking 3 hours to a location, and once has the song played.
Yep.
I'm like, at a certain point, it's not doing anything for me. It's not, Shadow of the Colossus makes sense. It's an empty world. For it to be silent, it fits the vibe. Dragon Age Inquisition's also kind of like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm traveling in a beautiful, sunny grasslands, and it's dead silent. It's not doing anything good for me. If anything, I'm wishing to hear the music, to let me enjoy this environment.
They should have at least done a little bit of what Breath of the Wild did, where it had, like, smatterings of stuff.
Yeah.
While you're going through. If they really wanted you engaged in, like, the atmosphere and stuff, that's what I think they should have done.
Because, when games just... when it's so sparingly that I almost forget they even have, like, atmospheric music. Because I'm like, well, I haven't heard it in 3 hours, and the only music I do hear is when combat happens.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay, then it immediately shuts down, and I'm just back to being silent. Like, okay, I wish there was more, or you played it more often.
I fully get that.
Because there's times in Skyrim where I'm like, at a certain point, I think when I play Skyrim, I just pull up my own music. So I'm like, there's no music playing.
I do that when I play Minecraft.
Yeah.
I just put on my own music.
I'm like, if you're not going to give me music, I'll pull up like Skyrim ambiance or Skyrim town ambiance music because I want to hear something.
For sure.
You ain't giving me nothing.
Well, that's the thing. Like, music makes things way less monotonous. Especially for games. And that's why I wanted to talk about our topic today, why soundtracks are so important, is because without the music behind everything, without it all, we would not be feeling the ways that we feel about certain scenes. We would not be feeling, preoccupied while you're doing it. Music is such a beautiful thing that everyone can enjoy. Everyone has their own taste, obviously.
Yeah.
But everyone can, have a feeling or spectrum of what is being played at the moment,
It's why I have a really hard time physically reading books in silence.
Yes.
Because it doesn't feel right. When I listen to an audiobook, it's different because I'm hearing someone talk. But when I sit down to read, I'm like, I need something.
That's why people make soundtracks for the books you're reading.
I was reading fan fiction last night.
Of course.
About Akatar.
There is nothing wrong with that. I read fan
like,
fiction all the time.
I was a couple chapters into this fan fiction. I was like, I need something. So I was like, let me just pull up castle music ambiance with rain and fire cracking place. I need some form of audio
for sure,
so I can really immerse myself. And video games do that so well, where sometimes you are doing a very monotonous job, and you're like, I need something to really put me in. And when they have good soundtracks,
God, they work
so well. And when they don't, it can be hard to really get through.
That'll be a fun episode as well, is talking about some
bad soundtracks. It's hard because I can't currently I couldn't think of a game that has a bad soundtrack. They're out there.
There's definitely some out there.
You just don't think about them often.
Well, God, man, it's why video games are so why video game soundtracks specifically are so important to me, because they drive so much more of the story and the feeling of things way more than even some of the writing does or some of the acting does. I will play games with some pretty mediocre voice acting, but the soundtrack is so good that I get all the emotion I need anyway.
Yeah. Devil May Cry 1, the very ending.
Absolutely.
Horrible voice acting. But the soundtrack, you're like, oh.
I mean, the original Resident Evil games as well.
Yeah.
Voice acting, terrible.
We didn't even... we don't talk about horror much in this podcast, but Silent Hill's soundtrack ambiance.
God.
That, because you mentioned Resident Evil. I know we both don't really like horror too much.
I like it somewhat.
Yeah. But those
games
soundtracks,
are good.
at least Silent Hill.
No, Resident Evil's got some good soundtracks. I promise you. Anyway, that's about all I've got. I definitely think we should absolutely revisit this.
Movies.
We should talk about movies,
because I'd love to talk about Hans Zimmer.
I would love to do genres as well of horror genre music, or Hi-Fi Rush being this upbeat poppy music. I think would be a lot of fun to talk about.
I mean, I know one of our main topics is just music in general. I'd honestly love to do a whole episode just about Hans Zimmer. That man can masterfully create a soundtrack for anything.
Oh yeah.
The fact FIFA 19
has a soundtrack.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 from Hans Zimmer.
Okay, I can kind of see
Call of Duty kind of,
because they're
FIFA,
especially in Modern Warfare 2. Their single player campaign in Modern Warfare 2 has some banger moments.
It's because it's Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that man. I just love... I'm a sucker for Dune. And he does the Dune soundtrack. And it's so good.
It's beautiful.
But
I
don't have anything else.
I think that's it for us. I think we've talked about everything we need to talk about, at least for this episode.
Next week's going to be fun. I have my topic. I didn't think you were going to do video games. So I was going to do a video game topic.
Fair enough.
But so be it. We're still going to do it.
Hey, we rant about the things we love.
Yeah. And we've mentioned a key contender of who it's going to be. My rant, and it's going to be a rant because it's a dislike of how little party dialogue is in video games at times. And I'm looking at Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yes.
And I'm praying and I'm loving Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes.
I really want to talk about and you might be able to talk more about it because you play a few more games that deal with like being able to play with a party.
Mm-hmm.
But some games there's just no dialogue
I
built on
absolutely agree.
role play, and you're like, I want more. I want more between parties. Like I want more between characters. I don't want to be the only person moving along role play.
I absolutely agree. There are a few JRPGs that come to mind immediately with this.
Because I know I'll be talking about Dragon Age Inquisition and Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes.
So please bring... It could be a joint rant. We haven't really done a joint rant.
Yeah.
So... Because, Baldur's Gate 3 does it beautifully. I do wish there was more in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes, I agree.
Because that's always the hard part of, like, choosing your party and then being like, well, no one interacts.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, certain characters, I feel like, don't interact as much as others do.
Absolutely. The earlier Persona games, for sure, don't have any of
Okay,
that.
so we'll do a joint rant next week, then. It'll be our first joint rant.
That would be wonderful.
Don't know what we're going to name it. Party dialogue? I don't know.
Absence of party dialogue.
I'll fuck with it. But this was a fun session.
Yeah.
We love music. Is this our first music session?
This is our first music one.
Oh, shit.
We love music.
We went weekly obsessions being music.
Yeah. Like, we went full music on this one.
Oh, hell yeah.
There was definitely some big tangents, mostly by me, but, music is a huge part of my life.
Listen to music. Do you have a weekly song, since we're talking about music?
Oh, shit.
I know mine
hold
currently is... I'm switching between two. Blood Upon the Snow from God of War Ragnarok.
That's a really good one.
By Hosier. Which that's been on consistent repeat for the last month and a half.
It's so
good. And Gossip by Måneskin. Those are my two bi-monthly song obsessions.
If there's songs that I go back to all the time, I mean, anything Epic the Musical, I always go back to. I fucking love it.
You've been talking about that for a while.
I will forever talk about it until it's done.
Even when it's done, you'll still keep talking about it.
Oh, absolutely. This is my favorite musical that has ever come out so far. I mean, I love listening to Warrior, the Kaladin song.
Yeah.
It's really good. I found a great cover of Achilles Come Down.
Did you show me that one? The female cover?
Yeah, the female cover. I come back to that one a few times.
You know what song I always come back to? Pain by Boy Harsher.
I thought you were thinking Pain by 3 Days Grace. I was like, really? That does not seem like your...
Pain by Boy Harsher.
Mm-hmm.
Love that song.
That's a good one. But a lot of my... This week have been a lot of atmospheric stuff from... For Gandrea or for Ajax and stuff like that. So don't have ones that have a lot of vocals right now, but
that's fair.
Yeah.
Love it. That's all for me.
That's all for me. Listen to music, have fun, enjoy yourselves.
Listen to music.
Anyway, that's all for me.
Bye bye.